Hi, Archie. Okay. How was camping?
Good.
Well, we are going to start chapter 4 today in Deep Dive. I like to use color, and I like to use blue and orange when I am showing the difference between words that have a literal meaning and words that have a figurative meaning. The example that I use most of the time is, it's a piece of cake. And the literal meaning of it's a piece of cake is, hey, happy birthday, I made you a cake, here it is. Here's a fork, here's a plate, I hope you enjoy it. It's really a piece of cake. The figurative meaning of it's a piece of cake is, this is really easy, no problem. The author of this book likes to play with words that have both a literal meaning and a figurative meaning and kind of mix those up in the title of the chapter. So inside this blue box here, it says smooth sailing. Well, this can have both a literal meaning and a figurative meaning. The literal meaning of smooth sailing, as you know, being someone who can sail a sailboat, is that when you are out on a sailboat sailing on the water is smooth. It's not bumpy. It's not so windy and stormy that the boat is bouncing around and you're worried about falling over. Smooth sailing means that the water is pretty smooth. You know, maybe there's a good wind helping you go quickly, but it's no problem. The figurative meaning of smooth sailing is everything is going very smoothly, easily, no problems. So if something is smooth sailing, that means it's going according to plan with no problems. It's not too difficult. Everything is working out pretty easily, just the way you want. The rest of this title, I think there was parentheses here. There you go, see the parentheses. So parentheses look like this. Parentheses go together as a set, just like quotation marks go together as a set, right? We never use quotation marks just at the beginning and not at the end. We need them at the beginning and at the end. It's the same thing with parentheses. If you're going to have a parenthesis at the beginning, you're going to have one at the end. And they look like this. So in parentheses, which is sort of just an extra thought we're adding on, it says the moo part will make sense eventually. Well, that definitely does not make sense right now. So I hope it's true that it will make sense eventually. Eventually means not yet, not right now, not yet, but later. It will at some point make sense to us. So that's kind of funny. That's sort of a mystery. Now we're wondering what is going to happen in this chapter that has something to do with a moo. Although if you're good at Minecraft, you might see this character right up here at the top of the page and think, oh, I've seen this before. And in the last chapter, chapter 2 or chapter 3, we were looking at different kinds of mobs, the passive mobs that don't cause any problems, and the hostile mobs who are trying to cause problems. They are not friendly. Well, we are going to meet a mob in this chapter that looks like this guy. And these right here, we're going to find out, are mushrooms that are growing out of a cow. So there's a mob in Minecraft that is kind of a combination of mushrooms and a cow, and it's called a moo shroom. Because a cow says moo, so it's a moo shroom. Instead of a mushroom, it's a moo shroom, which is kind of funny. And we will learn more about that in this chapter. Now, remember in chapter 3, they were at school. In fact, Harper and Jody were being spies, and they were on a mission to figure out what the science teacher was doing in the basement. In this chapter, I can already see they're back to the shipwreck and Minecraft. So I think their VR goggles are on again, and they are back in the Minecraft world. As morning dawned in Minecraft, Harper and her friends built their first boats. It was Ash's great idea to use old wood planks from the shipwreck. That way, they wouldn't have to use up any of the wood from their inventories. Remember, if you want to build something, you need to look at your inventory to see what materials do you have that you can use. But since they have wood right there from this shipwreck, they don't need to use the wood that is in their inventory. And that's a great way to save it in their inventory and not use it up. It also felt poetic to make small boats out of the large one. The ship was landlocked. Landlocked means it has land all around it so that it can't go out back into the water. But pieces of it would be sailing the ocean once more, right? They thought this was great to give. It's almost like if you were to think of that old big ship as having life, now that it's broken and it's landlocked and it can't sail anymore, it's like its life is over. But by making it into small boats and letting those boats go back out onto the ocean, it's almost like giving that big ship an opportunity to be alive again and to continue to have life and to explore the ocean again. And that's exciting for them. You know, it uses the imagination and it just has a good feeling to it. The crafting formula, so this is a Minecraft thing, was quite simple. In a matter of moments, five small rowboats bobbed in the water. I wish we could all share a boat, Morgan said. So each one of them is in a different boat. Boats here can only hold a single person, Ash said, but we will travel together. Everyone will stay close. Arr, daylight's wasting, Poe said. Now, anytime you see this word ARR, which is not a word, it wants us to think of a pirate. Here's Poe looking like a pirate. Because we like to say throughout the stories and throughout history that a pirate would say, "Arr, matey." And so we write that ARR. Now, to say that daylight is wasting is to say that we're wasting time, right? Because they are only going to travel by daylight, not at nighttime. And if they just stand around talking and they don't get going, then they're wasting some of the time that they could be using on the water. So you say, daylight's wasting. That means we're wasting time. Let's hurry up. Let's get going. So Poe, that's he was dressed as a pirate, complete with captain's hat and a black beard. He hopped into his birchwood boat. That's the type of wood. Shove off. Okay, that's the language we use when it's time for the boat to leave the dock and go into the water. Onto the water. Shove off, echoed Jody. It's sailor talk, Harper said. It means, let's go already. Oh, Jody giggled and climbed into her own boat. In that case, aye, aye, which is sailor talk for yes, sir. Ash was nervous at first. She had been on boats in real life, and the rocking motion had made her seasick. Now, you know the feeling of being car sick, right? If you're in the back of the car and the car is just going over, around, if it's in the mountains and it's going around and around and up and down, and you're like, oh.
It's like this.
Yeah. So people can also get seasick if the boat is kind of going up and down and around, and it's like, oh. So Ash has felt seasick before, so she's a little bit nervous about being in this boat. That wasn't a problem here, though. The sea was calm and quiet, like a great glistening blue carpet. Here we have an example of a simile, like a great glistening blue carpet. So a simile, I think we have learned that we can use the two words as and as. We use them to help make a simile when we have as and as, but we can also do it with this word like. And so this is when we have two things that we're comparing. We have the sea or the ocean, and we have this blue carpet, a great glistening, kind of sparkling blue carpet. Well, a carpet is a rug, right? It's something on the floor. And you can walk on it. Well, the ocean, they're comparing it to like a rug that the boat can move on. So the rug is something we could walk on, and the ocean is something we can sail on. We can also move on it. And so the author is comparing the ocean to a blue carpet. And she wants us to find, she wants us to ask ourselves, well, what's the same? What is similar between these two things? Why is she choosing a blue carpet to help us understand what the ocean is like? Well, if we look at the sentence, if we look at the first part of that sentence, it says the sea was calm and quiet. And one thing we know about a carpet is that it doesn't move. And so I think she just wants us to or he, the author, wants us to realize that the ocean, like a carpet, is not moving. It's just very calm, very still. They talked about school and Poe's basketball team and how excited Harper was for Doc's choral assignment. Before they knew it, the sun was setting. So it's getting darker. Now I want you to notice what we have in this orange and blue circles. Okay, first I'm going to do the orange circle. There's nowhere to put down a bed out here, Morgan said. Do you think that's a positive thing or a negative thing? There's nowhere for us to put a bed down. Do you think that's good or not so good? Not
so good. Negative.
Negative. And then in the blue circle, Ash says, but there aren't any mobs to worry about either, Ash pointed out. So Morgan notices something that is not so good, which is, boy, we're on the ocean. We can't just put a bed down. And then Ash says, yeah, but at least we don't have to worry about any mobs. Is Ash pointing out something that's negative or positive?
Positive.
Right. So if we were to look here at that's my drawing of a battery. When you look at a battery, there's going to be a positive end and a negative end. Okay, we use a plus to show the positive side and a minus to show the negative side. On a battery, that plus and minus, the positive and negative, is talking about electricity. It's talking about the electrical current. But we use these words, positive and negative, in English to also talk about our attitude and feelings and how we look at things. So if we can look at a really tough situation and find something to be thankful for and find something that's good about it, then we are having a positive attitude. But if we just look at all the problems and all the things that we don't like, then we are having a negative attitude. A person who can find the positive or the good things about a bad situation, we say that they are very good at this idiom right here. Every cloud has a silver lining. Well, we think of a cloud as something that's about to bring rain, and rain can ruin a lot of our plans. If we want to go swimming or play baseball, something, have a picnic outside, and it's, it starts raining really hard, or there's a storm, then it can cancel our plans. So people often look up at the sky, and they really want a blue sky so that they can do something outside. And when they see the storm clouds moving in, they can immediately be unhappy, be like, oh, our plans are ruined again. Oh. But if they can come up with something to say that's positive, then they are looking for that silver lining. Let's say that some kids after school were supposed to stay at school and have a soccer game. And then it started raining really hard and the soccer game got canceled. And so the moms and dads came and picked up their kids early and they went home. And so you get home sooner than you were planning on, right? But let's say you get home and all of a sudden your grandma shows up and says, oh, I'm so excited to see you. I only have about 15 minutes. Then you might be happy that the soccer game was canceled because it gave you a chance to see your grandma. And if you had gone to the soccer game, then your grandma would have come and she would have left and you would have missed her. And so you could say, well, I'm sad that the soccer game was canceled, but I'm happy because if it hadn't been canceled, I would have missed seeing my grandma. She was only here for 15 minutes. That is looking for the silver lining. So this idiom, every cloud has a silver lining, is about attitude. And it's about how when bad things happen and things do not work out the way we want, instead of just focusing on all of the things that make us unhappy, that are frustrating, we stop and find something that we can be thankful for, that we can see as a good thing. And that we call the silver lining. So here we have Morgan and Ash giving us an example of this. Morgan is having a negative attitude. He is just seeing the problems. He is seeing, oh man, we're on the ocean. We can't even put a bed down. And Ash finds the positive and she says, yeah, but there's no hostile mobs that we have to worry about. So she says, we may as well keep going. So they traveled through the night, gliding onward by the light of the moon. So they traveled by moonlight, which is kind of cool. All righty, what color would you like for your star today? Blue? This one? Okay. All right, Archie, it is time to say.
Hello.
So long what?
Chatter. Chip.
So long, Cheddar Chip. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Tomorrow. Bye.